Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most self-indulgent game ever made, and it damn well should be considering Rockstar just came off making the highest selling entertainment product of all time, leading us to where we are today, still waiting for GTA 6, because they know they can do whatever they want with their games and they will make billions. Red Dead's self-indulgence is everywhere, displaying an insane amount of detail and effort into aspects that no one would bat an eye at if they were missing, and most importantly to Rockstar, would not convince anyone to buy their game. Do you really think there's a person out there who bought Red Dead 2 because pigs eat dead bodies? Or because NPCs can bleed out from bullet wounds? Or because your horse testicles shrink and expand depending on the weather? Actually, scratch that last one. The point is, Red Dead 2 is Rockstar's victory lap, where it doesn't take the player's time into consideration because they know that they're Rockstar. They're going to tell the story they want, and they know you're going to finish it. I think this mentality makes itself clear when you reach the epilogue. See, normally an epilogue is a single scene or mission to give closure to what happened to the characters after the main story has concluded. It's not normally longer than most entire games. The reason I feel these two chapters are particularly painful is because of how cumulative the game's final chapter is. See, across the game's 6 chapters, you can get a feel for how long each chapter is by the amount of missions in each one. Chapter 1, which serves as the prologue, has 6. The game's middle chapters serve as the meaty part of the story, with Chapter 2 having 18, Chapter 3 having 17, and Chapter 4 having 14. Then the bridging Chapter 5 has 9, and the climactic Chapter 6 has a staggering 20. When the player has invested that much time into each arc, you'd expect for the epilogue to be a brisk conclusion after such an exhaustive finale. Doubly so since the game is a prequel, and its only required task is to make sure John gets a farm. But again, this game is Rockstar's victory lap, and goes into a delirious amount of detail on how he acquired that farm. And the finale deliberately leaves the loose end of Micah, because there is no chance in hell this game is ending without us pumping him full of lead. But most of what we do in this finale is superfluous, and adds little to the rest of the narrative of the game we just played, and the game that comes after, at least from a storytelling perspective. But from a thematic perspective, it's nearly essential for us to spend most of this epilogue doing chores and odd jobs. Because the John Marston we play as in Red Dead 1 is a vast departure from the John at the end of Chapter 6. He's still hot-blooded and stubborn, and likely to shoot first and ask later, not the family man who only kills because he has to in the prequel. There's something more important the epilogue has to do beyond killing Micah, something that can't be wrapped up in one mission, because it's not Red Dead Revenge, it's Red Dead Redemption. John has to prove to Abigail and Jack that he's a changed man, and that takes time. You can't earn respect in a day. He has to prove he can do an honest day's work. He has to go on a date in Blackwater, and he has to prove he's responsible enough to run a farm. We need to see John be happy and live a wonderful life before it all comes crashing down, because we need to see that Arthur's sacrifice was worth it, that he died so John could live a fulfilling and happy life. And the game needs to show us that life, and it needs to do so in the same game that Arthur died in. Well, need is a strong word. It would have been perfectly acceptable for them to not show us all this, and just have us fill in the gaps ourselves. But like I said, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the most self-indulgent game ever made. Rockstar knows that even if they only sold 30,000 copies of this game, GTA Online would make up for their losses in 2 months. There's nothing Rockstar can do to lose money anymore, so you might as well do whatever you want. After all, they literally can't lose. It's a position that I think only they and Valve are in, so they know they can take as long as they want and make whatever they want. The epilogue of Red Dead 2 is far too long to be placed at the end of a game so gigantic in length, but these aren't the chapters where things need to be cut out. That would be the entire Native American plot from Chapter 6, which takes the focus away from the gang where it should be and places it on Eagle Flies and his father, when the game should solely be focused on the gang falling apart at the seams. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about the towns of Red Dead Redemption 2.